Hey.
Hello, how you doing? What's up? What's going on? Today we are doing the truth about love, relationships, and soulmates. Wow, big topic. I'm just gonna take a couple of minutes and see who's here and make sure that everybody who said they wanted to come on the call is here. So let's have a look on who's here. Hello, give me a wave, give me some love, give me some thumbs up so that I can see you're here. And also, if you have any questions, please make sure that you are typing them in the comments below that I can see them. I'm going to keep refreshing the screen here. So yeah, I hope we're all good. Yes, and I'm getting feedback, also always good. Alrighty, we have a huge session ahead of us. We have the massive topic of the truth about love, relationships, and soulmates. It is an unbelievably large topic, and I cannot even begin to tell you that it would probably take me weeks, months, years to cover this topic properly. But what I endeavor to do for you tonight is to give you the really broad overview of this topic, especially including some of the things you've probably never heard before. I came to this topic out of unbelievable frustration because I just went through relationship after relationship and realized that things weren't working out and I didn't have enough tools. And did anybody pass me the instruction booklet? It was just, that's what I felt about relationships. It felt as if I really had to get this right, but I had absolutely no idea how to do it or where I was going wrong, or that I even had the basic information on how to make it this even halfway okay or even halfway work out. So over the past decade, I have endeavored to give you a real big broad outline. You still have to go do the work. There's no question about it. Relationships are always going to be like a gauntlet, like a training ground. They're always going to be places of growth, places where you have to lean in. But what I endeavor to do to you tonight, and also the material I'm presenting tonight, is also going to be in a much longer 1.5 hour webinar where I can go in a little more detail than I can do tonight. And then of course it is a course in the new year in 2017 to give you all the basic information. So this is what I do very well, is I take a really big topic, I research the absolute living daylights out of it, and then I go, this is the broad overview, this is the kind of medium level, intermediate level knowledge that you need, and then let's go drop down into the details of it. So a couple of days ago, a client asked me what I really did. I said, imagine your life is like a big hanger full of your stuff, and your stuff is all the events that have happened to you in your life and your experiences and the people. I go in and I sort them all in nice little pretty little piles, and I put little stickers on and little instruction booklets. And then when you come back in, I lead you through that room and I show exactly how everything works together and how everything interacts. That's pretty much what I do. All right. I am going to put these notes up later on because there are a lot of notes, and I'm going to write them out all pretty and make sure that you get them. I will post them in the comments below, and I will also post them a little bit later on in the main feed. Right, this whole topic, this whole thing revolves around the fact that I basically divided it into two things. Number one, that there is a great big lie. There's like a huge elephant in the room. And then there's a great big problem. So there's a problem and a lie and a lie and the problem. And these two things are sandwiching you in that place of just pure frustration, not knowing what's really going on. So I kind of divided them into two sections. The first thing we need to talk about is the lie. What is the lie? The lie that is being fed to you from so many different sources, from so many different directions, is basically made up of these 5 things. Number 1, that somehow you should be making your journey towards the one. So the idea of a soulmate. I'm sorry to say that you have been had by the Middles and Boons popular romantic novel idea that there is one person out there that will make all your dreams come true. It just ain't so. A very good colleague of mine, I'll post that video in the comments as well, said that there is no such thing as soulmate. There is the opportunity to meet your soul in every relationship that you have. Because every relationship, if you keep your mind open and your heart open, delivers you a moment to see your soul move up to a greater level of awareness and consciousness. But the idea that there's one person, that's just not true. That's just rubbish. And also, it's a bit of a cop-out, because it's like, oh, well, you know, this isn't working out, so I haven't met the one, and I'm still looking for the one. No, there is no thing of such greatness and beauty that is just bloody easy and comes with no work. So that's the first lie. The greatest, biggest lie is that there is one, the one, where everything will be all right. If you look back, every relationship you've ever had, whether it was romantic, family member, friendship, anybody, had equal challenge and support, because that's how life works. Here, the next biggest lie is, oh, the right one will make it easy. Every single relationship you will ever enter into will have equal benefit and support. That person will have nice traits and mean traits, like you have nice traits and mean traits. There isn't when the right one will make it easy. No. Every relationship is there to challenge and to grow you. Every relationship is there to give you just the amount for you to stay and just enough to make you grow, because that is how human beings evolve, through growth and support at the same time. Number 2, when it gets difficult, it's clearly going wrong. That just means you can't take the heat, because relationships are here to challenge you, to grow you, to evolve you. And when you say, as soon as it gets uncomfortable, I'm out of here, well, guess what? You're going to be having relationship after relationship after relationship, or marriage after marriage after marriage after marriage, chasing that elusive high of, with the one, it'll be right. It's just not the truth. The truth is you will attract the right relationship for the right moment, for the right purpose, and they will always equally challenge and support you. And if you are not aware of that, you will be chasing some crazy shiny new object your whole life. And you will be wondering what's wrong with everybody out there, when actually, remember we were talking about that finger pointing outside, 3 fingers pointing back. That is the lesson, the blessing and the gift. We'll talk about that more next week. Right. The number 4th one is, it will be better with someone else. It will be different with someone else. There will still be challenge and support. You will still have to go through a certain growth phase. Yes, of course, I hear the people shouting, oh, my ex abused me and now I'm with an amazing man. Of course, some relationships will be more challenging than others. There is no question about it. But every relationship will bring some level of growth and evolution, and will require you to change as a person to adapt to the situation. And the last lie that I have, and the one that gets me more than any of the other ones, is that just because you're human qualifies you to be good at relationships. Let's think about that. Learn to drive a car, yeah. Learn to eat, yep. Learn to speak, yep. Learn to walk, So all of the things that you think are natural as a human being, well, except the driving bit, all the things that you think are normal and natural to you being human, you had to learn. And guess what? You have to learn this one as well. And here is the problem. The problem is there is no education for relationships. Well, I certainly didn't have any. Most of us did not have an ideal blueprint when it comes to our family, or how we grew up, or where we grew up. The third one is we're constantly being misinformed by Disney, by the media, by the movies, by God knows every ad that there is out there, selling you just this rubbish information that then makes you think that somehow you are either getting it wrong or with the wrong person. Also, you are shaped all the time by culture, by your peers, by your religion also on some level. You are constantly pressurized into a certain type of thinking with regards to what relationship is. And most of these systems haven't done what really my work is based on. Is I follow the work of 5 different PhDs who have all dedicated 40 years of research to this particular topic. So if it doesn't have a PhD on it, I don't follow it. So the idea of this really research stuff is that it needs to work across culture, gender, and age, and also how you were brought up. So the problem is there's just so much rubbish out there. There's so many lies, and also it feeds on your insecurities and it makes you feel rubbish when you get it wrong. And therefore, when you're in a lot of pain, and God knows I've been there, you reach out to these easy little concepts that just make it so much simpler, like, I just haven't met the right one yet. No, maybe they weren't ideal situations that you were in, but you grew through every single one of them. And one of the things that I really want to highlight is please, 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 please don't be getting into a new relationship or ditching the old one until you've totally understood what message and purpose this particular relationship had. Also, if you're not really in a state of gratitude and understanding of the message, the blessing, and the gift, then really you're most likely just going to recreate the same thing over and over and over again. So before I delve into the actual lessons, I'm just going to check if any of you have any questions. I know it is a massive, 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 massive topic, and I'm sure you've got questions. Thank you so much for being with me here tonight. It is a topic that is unbelievably close to my heart. All right. Da, 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 da. We are onto the truth, the ugly, brilliant, devastating, and life-affirming truth about love, relationships, and soulmates. So I'm going to go through the 10 pretty quickly. I'm always going to be here in the comments afterwards. So I'm going to sit for a while afterwards and just have chats with you in the comments if you want to ask me anything. But I am going to really just charge through them at quite a pace. So please make sure you've got a notebook or a notepad ready. Are you ready? Number 1. Every human being sees life through a different camera. Now, I want you to imagine that everybody on the street was walking around with a camera. You would naturally assume that not everybody would see the life in the same kind of way, because who knows what kind of movies they were all playing, what kind of filters there were in the camera. And that's the reality of every single human being. Every single human being is seeing life through her or his particular filtration system. Now, you wouldn't just think that everybody has the same idea about love and relationships, but in truth, when we get close to people, either romantically or through friends, we start to assume. So familiarity breeds this whole thing that, oh, you're just like me, but you're not really. And so the first thing you need to keep in mind is every single human being, just as unique as their thumbprint or their iris, sees life through a different camera. Now, most people will usually ask me at this point, well, how can you tell? One of the things you really want to be doing is understanding that you need to get to know a person, get to know what their childhood looked like, what they think about. I mean, in romantic relationships, it's called dating, but also in, friendships and with colleagues, is find out what their version of life looks like. When I work with couples, a lot of the times people say to me, once they've done this exercise, we've been married for 20 years and I never knew that my partner or spouse thought, about love completely differently than me. That's because we get into this place where we just rush, rush, rush so fast, we don't actually get to know people. And then we wonder why, we wake up 20 years later and there's somebody else. So first of all, people are different because they have a completely different camera outlook on their life. Number two, there is a difference, and I'm not saying a difference between men and women. There's a difference between the masculine and the feminine. I don't have a lot of time to go into this today, but I'm going to post below in the comments quite a bit about where you can find out more about the difference, because men and women generally represent the masculine and the feminine, but not always. We actually all have a completely different distribution of the two, and also some situations make you more one or the other. But the masculine energy and the feminine energy have a very, very different way of approaching life. They want the same thing, to be loved for who they are and to have significance in the world. But the way that they go about it is completely different in their energy systems. So that's number one. People see life differently. Number two, every single human being has a different set of priorities. In the Dr. DeMartini work, we call them values. Every single person filters the world around themselves through a system of what's most important and to what's least important. I want you to imagine that everybody had a great big list down the front of their shirt which told you what the top priority of their life was, and then second down, third down, fourth down, 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 down. And that everyday decision they made was generally to align or bring them more of those highest priorities. Now, for some people, that's work. For some people, it's family. For some people, it's travel. Your unique value system determines how you filter life. Now, the problem is my values is this and your values is this. And so we come at life from a completely different place. There's an exercise that we do called linking that aligns the two value systems, and then we are on the same page. But what you need to know for this particular thing is, why do people do the things they do? It's because they see life differently than you through their camera. Their masculine, feminine energy distribution will make their outlook different, and their priorities will make their view on life differently. Number three, human beings express love differently. I'm sure you've heard of this. It's called the love languages. I'm going to put a link below in the comments about a test that you can take, an online test, takes 20 minutes. It's for free. That tells you whether you express love in a certain kind of way. So there's words, there's actions, there's service, there's presence. There's 5 different types. If you're constantly giving love one way, the person that you're with wants to receive it a different way, or they're expressing it differently. Can you see? You can so easily be ships in the night. Now, number 4 in this particular category is everybody has a different capacity for love. Oh, lordy, lordy, I wish somebody told me that years and years ago. So just imagine that every single person walked around with a little badge on their shoulder that said, in a percentage expression, how capable they were of love. Because the truth is we were all raised completely differently. And that means that some of us, because of our upbringing, have a high capacity for attachment, or how we relate to love, and some of us have a low capacity for attachment. I'm going to post in the links below. This is attachment theory. I beg you to buy this book that I'm going to post below and take the test, take the attachment test, so that you know whether you are anxious attached or whether you are avoidant attached. Now, without going into too much detail, anxious attachment is basically that you lean into people generally. You want more, you want to sort things out, you want to care, you want to get involved, you want to get there faster. The avoidant is more of a lean back. Let's hang out, let's see. So the avoidant has a high need for independence and space, and the anxious has a high need for reassurance and closeness. One or the other isn't right or wrong. There is a third category, which is called secure. Now, most people think they're secure, but unfortunately that's not really true, because most of us come out of our childhood with some sense of baggage, if you like, and that's there for a very particular reason, because it aligns us with our path and our purpose. But you generally will have more of one than of the other, and it is unbelievably fascinating to take the test in the attached book. It's all about how much of a capacity for closeness and connection do you actually have. It's fascinating, honestly. And number 5 is every single one of us has a different ability to react and respond. Now, there's a big difference between reacting and responding. So, have you ever had a conversation and all of a sudden a friend of yours went, "I can't believe you just said that"? That is being reactive. That comes from the brainstem. Just, wow, it's there in a matter of seconds. Have you also had a friend that went, okay, I've listened to what you said and I feel that this and this and this and this is happening? That is responding. So that comes from your prefrontal cortex. I do a whole session on this about the crocodile and the owl. The crocodile, the snappy crocodile, being your reactive system, which is kind of the oldest part of your body. And then the owl, which is your prefrontal cortex, which can rise above everything else and looks around and goes, okay, I'm going to be calm and respond to this from my heart rather than just ripping your head off. But the truth is, every single person on this planet has a different ability to communicate and connect. Some people just have never learned how to stem and control their triggers and communicate from a heart space rather than from a reactive space. So I'm going to go through the major 5 ones on this side once more. Number 1, every single human being sees life differently. Even though you think you know them, like a friend or a partner, they still look at life through the lens of their experiences, their hardships, their heartbreaks, and of course, their masculine, feminine distribution of energy. Not male and female, but masculine and feminine. Number 2, everybody has a list of priorities in their life that they live their life according to. Every single person has a different list. Unless you get to know someone and ask them about what they spend their time, energy, money doing, you will never know what their highest priority is. In relationships, it is vital that those 2 value systems, those priority lists align, that you can see how your partner is serving you and you are serving your partner. Number 3, people express love differently, love languages. 4, different people have different capacity for love. That's attachment theory, anxious or avoidant. 5, different people have a different ability to communicate and connect. That is all about reactive and responding. All right, so far, let me see if we have any questions. How are you guys doing? I know it is a big, big, big topic. Big topic. We're getting through it. Right, are you ready for the next 5? All right, the next 5 things, I'm just going to quickly have a drink here. Okay, the next 5. So 5 and 5. The next 5 are more about things that people just have never, ever, ever heard about relationships. So the first 5 are what people need to know, what differences there are between you and your partner, you and your friend, you and your child. So those are the 5 differences that cause the separation. Because when we assume that, like, have you ever thought, I can't believe that person just did that? That's because you're assuming that the other person is coming from the same perspective as you. And that's just not true because of their blueprint and their experiences. But the first 5 were the 5 levels that actually are separating you from the other person, really. And the more you realize these separations and get down to asking exactly what these are, the closer you will become. Now, the next 5 are topics that you've probably never heard about in terms of relationships. And I'm going to go through them quite slowly because they are paramount to you understanding yourself in relationships and then also understanding what you can do to improve your relationships. So the first one is the difference between infatuation and love. Now, when you first meet someone, usually you'll get all excited and high and you go, oh my God, and this, and this, and this, and this. That's because you actually don't know enough about that person. And when we first meet someone, we generally focus on the things that are lovely about them. As you get to know that person more and more and more, you will find out that they have some things that really annoy you as well. But that's normal, because I have nice and mean things about myself. You have nice and mean things about you. Every single person in the world has light and dark, yin and yang. That's normal. But when we first meet someone, we go, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That high that most people call love, it's not. It's infatuation. It's a heady cocktail of adrenaline and dopamine and serotonin, keeping you high as a kite, literally chemically high. But it's actually incredibly corrosive to your body. It messes with your blood pressure, your blood sugar, all sorts of heart rate, insomnia, digestion. It messes with you, because real love, true love, and if you think about somebody that you really, really love, that you've known for a while, you like them because of and in spite of, in a way. So you're moving towards the things that you love about them, and you're willing to pay the price of the annoying things. Now, some of you might say, there are no annoying things, especially with babies or small children. Ah, yes, they are. They cost money. They keep you up. You know, it's just because you're in that cocktail of beautiful, beautiful, heady infatuation. A lot of people find, though, that what they've termed as coming out of the illusion of, you know, also having children, or the illusion of the high of the beginning of a relationship, that's why they call it the honeymoon. It's because literally in the honeymoon, you're in that state of infatuated relating to the other person. You generally only see the high of the one side that you like. And then as you know them more and more and more, and all the other bits come in, you go, well, they do this and they do that and they do that. And you don't realize that true love is actually the synthesis, the joining of the light and the dark. Knowing that this person has things that you really feel aligned with, and some of the things that really bug you. That is real love. It's the yin and the yang, the light and the dark together. Because guess what? If you want to be loved for exactly who you are, you want people to love you for your shadow better as well, right? So the first big concept is there's love with a little L, which is infatuation. What most people think is love, it's not. It's a cocktail of infatuation. True love, real love, is both light and dark together, knowing that you love someone because of and despite their shortcomings or their annoyances. All right, the second one, a topic that a lot of people talk about, is intimacy. So I don't know if you saw that great movie. I'm going to find the clip and post it below. It was Mike Myers. He was making fun of some guru, and he was going, intimacy, into me I see. But ironically, that's exactly what it is. Everyone wants close connection, and no one realizes that intimacy comes through being vulnerable, taking a risk and being open with your partner and say, hey, I really feel this way, and I really need this, and I'm really afraid. Intimacy, or into me I see, then allows you to be authentic and vulnerable, and actually open up this space between you where the other person can step into that sanctuary that is between you. So intimacy is not about, you know, how high you can lift your legs in some kind of position in the bedroom. It is first about the into me I see, which is creating a level of authenticity and vulnerability, and really being unbelievably honest with your partner, and that creating a sanctuary between you two. So number one was infatuation between real love, honeymoon versus real connection. Number two was how into me I see, how intimacy is actually not created by crazy bedroom tricks, but by being deeply emotionally connected. And deeply emotionally connection happens by being present, being vulnerable, and being authentic. Okay. Number three is the spiritual purpose of a relationship. The spiritual purpose of a relationship. Now people go, spiritual purpose of a relationship. So nature has designed everything around you with a purpose. It has also designed relationships for a purpose. The purpose of a relationship to bring together two individuals with opposite weaknesses and strengths to join together and become a stronger team. Okay, so this is so cool. I love this. I absolutely love this. So you are bringing a strength to your connection, but you're also bringing a weakness. Your partner is bringing a strength and a weakness. So here's the interesting thing. Most of us stand on the tower of our strength and you go, why aren't you more blah, 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 blah. So grossly generalizing now is a lot of the gents that come in here in couples therapy with me, they say, why can't my wife be more together and more independent? Well, that's your strength and her weakness. And the ladies come in and they go, why can't my husband be more emotional and more connected and more present? Well, that's your strength and his weakness. But can you see, as a team, you are stronger and it's there to grow each other. But rather than bashing your mate over the head on their weakness with your strength, the idea is to go about it like a wise teacher and a great mentor, which is slowly, 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 gently, 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 with a lot of care and compassion, knowing that you've got a weakness just as much as they do, and you need to learn something just as much you need to teach something. All right? So this is a good example. If you write down on a piece of paper, get you and your partner to do this, write the opposite person's name and go, if only he would do blah, 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 blah. And then she writes, and he writes, if only she would do blah, 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 blah. Well, that gives you your mission on the relationship, is that's the space you need to grow into. Whatever your partner requires of you, that's your spiritual calling to get up and say, okay, this is something I'm not very good at. And whatever, can you see the vice versa in this? You come to the table of relationship with a strength that you're not meant to torture your partner with, and as much humility as it's required for you to take on the learning from their strength. But that takes cooperation, consciousness, awareness, and just a bunch of courage and also some balls, and I'm not just saying that for the boys. It's like, this takes courage. Really, relationships are not for the faint-hearted. Okay, so number one was infatuation the difference between infatuation, the high of infatuation, and real relationship. And number two was intimacy, to create, vulnerability and authenticity and connection and presence. Number three was the spiritual purpose of a relationship, to hook together opposing strengths and weaknesses. The balance in every relationship. This is number four. Every single relationship will bring in a juicy carrot and, as my friend calls it, a bunch of broccoli, because every single relationship will bring something that draws you in. You want this, you want this. And then every relationship will bring in underneath exactly what you need to learn at that time and that space. Because no relationship is wasted. It's always exactly at the right point to teach you something. Now, sometimes that teaching is over and done with and you move on. Sometimes it is not safe for you, which is the point you should move on as well, because that's not about, this is one of the misconceptions that has come out of personal development, is this like, oh no, I need to stick it out even though the person is abusing me. Hell no. There's another 5 people down the line that you can learn that with. At the point at which it becomes offensive and it becomes abusive, you're out. That's the thing. You're out. You need to remove yourself. Every single person you will ever meet has both light and dark. Every single relationship you will ever be in will have challenge and support. Okay, there is no one-sided. And chasing one-sided things will make you exhausted, lonely, and tired. Number 5, the reason why I'm one of the only coaches that coaches self-love with regard to relationship is because relationships and self-love is like this. Because every relationship that you are in will be a reflection of who you are on the inside. I talk a lot about this in the next session, which is how can you see the lesson, the blessing, the message, and the gift? Because every relationship brings a message, a lesson, a blessing, and a gift. And until you see that, If you just go on to the next relationship and you haven't really understood this one, you're just going to create the next one again. I'm sure you've heard this. Whatever you resist persists. Whatever you ignore gets louder. And so you've probably seen that in your life. Heck, I have seen that in mine, where you just create the same thing over and over again, the same pattern, the same type of person, the same scenario, and you just go, oh my God, I just wish I knew what the message was. That is in next week's session. So, number one, the difference between the high of infatuation and true love, which is both challenge and support. Two was you need to into me I see to get the intimacy. Three is the purpose is to combine strengths and combine weaknesses to learn and grow as a couple. Four is the balance. You will never get a relationship that is just one-sided. Never, ever, ever, ever. Look back at all the ones you have. So this whole idea that the soulmate will just be a one-sided thing ain't gonna happen. It just isn't gonna happen. And besides then, give yourself some credit. There's way more people out there that are compatible with you. Number five is the topic of self-love. So I think probably the best way I can describe this is a lot of ladies that come to me say that they've been in repetitive relationship patterns where they attract emotionally unavailable men. And that you have to just immediately see the reflection and go, where am I emotionally unavailable to myself? So, and not emotionally unavailable to that person, because usually those ladies are leaning in and caring and giving and more and more and more. It's where you are emotionally unavailable to yourself. Where are you not being authentic about what you truly want, how you truly feel, and what you really need? It is a huge topic. I talk a lot about it in my courses, in my webinars, in my workshops, all the time. You must get to a place where you can see what the relationship is reflecting back on you, because it is the most powerful, powerful self-love education you will ever, ever have. But one of the things I say is actually self-love is in a trilogy with loving the people around you for who they are, what they bring to the table, whether it's nice or mean, and loving the universe. So it's kind of like this trilogy. You know, if you just love yourself but not other people and not what's happening to you, that's pretty pointless. If you love other people but not yourself and not the universe, it's like a three-legged stool that just wobbles around. Can you see that those three actually are all the same thing? Loving yourself for who you are, what you've been through, where you're at, loving other people for who they are, and loving the universe for what's delivering to you on a daily level. So self-love is integral in relationships and vice versa. Anybody who tries to teach you one without the other is only telling you half the story. So please watch out for those books or those seminars or the one-day workshops where they go, I'm going to teach you how to love yourself. Are they talking about relationships? Because you know what? You were born in a relationship. You are mostly traumatized in a relationship. And you know what most people say when they die? That they want the people who they love the most around them. So explain to me how relationship and self-love doesn't just overlap on every single level. So we have covered how we're doing. We have covered the majority of the work that I wanted to introduce to you tonight. Basically just a massive overview. I'm planning to do a webinar about this in January where I'm going to take an hour and a half, 2 hours to go into more detail on each of those topics. But I wanted to do tonight is just give you my top 3 books about really who is out there that is telling a different story about love. Not the saccharine, gooey, love heart story about soulmates and everybody's going to be happily ever after. Not that story. Who is saying actually there's a different story going on here? And in top position, I have this amazing book, The Heart of Love, by my teacher and my mentor, Dr. John DeMartini. Honestly, this book will blow your brains out because it just slam dunks every single conception that you've had about relationships. Like, for instance, there's an amazing, I've highlighted some of it, there's an amazing exercise where you go through every ex relationship you've had and you dive into what message was it trying to bring you, what lesson was it trying to bring you. Man, it is just wild, this book. I can highly, 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 highly recommended. Let me just, oh, I love this. Oh, I love this. Giving up the fantasy in favor for fulfillment. The real story on finding your soulmate. The 3 great laws of relating. It's just a powerful, powerful, powerful piece. The Heart of Love by Dr. John DeMartini. Then the second book that will really just rearrange your brain on the topic of love. And I'm sure you are familiar with this lady's amazing work. Oh my God. Byron Katie. She actually comes to London quite a bit. This book is called I Need Your Love. Wow, wow, wow. Woo, she has an amazing method. You can also look up on YouTube. She's got a lot of YouTube videos. And she basically says that a lot of our suffering when it comes to love comes from the place where we believe our thoughts. So when you start to question that thought, I need your love. And she has a system, I mean, sure, many of you know it. Is that really true? How can you be sure of it? She has the most amazing work in terms of questioning your reality and then unhooking the suffering from it. This is, I've literally read this at least once a year. It is just so unbelievable. The Heart of Love. No, this is I Need Your Love by Byron Katie. Top, top, top book. And then my third absolute gem that I'd like to share with you. This book is called Call Off the Search, and it is written by Anna and Andrew Wallace. And I love this book from beginning to end. So the basic premise is 2 pretty highly educated, aware, conscious, into their spirituality and personal development individuals get together, they meet and they kind of fall in love, and they think that because they are in such an amazing state of awareness, their relationship is just going to go absolutely perfectly without any single kind of hiccup whatsoever. And this book is a fly on the wall journey with them on their relationship twists and turns, really getting into the juice of how do we actually do relationships, bringing together our baggage and our needs and our assumptions and our hang-ups. How do you actually get through, or like that melting pot of just emotional mess, and how do you emerge with it into a truly fulfilled and truly connected relationship? Call Off the Search by Anna and Andrew Wallace. It is, you won't be able to put this book down. It is absolutely amazing. All right, so those are my 3. Now I'm going to put out a challenge to you, a action challenge, because I want you to take action and I want you to take the biggest bang for buck action there is. So it's the whole 80-20 concept of what 20% can I do to really get as much of a result as possible. So the first thing I want you to do is Google love languages. Go and look up what your love language is. Get your mate to do it as well, whether that's your child, your partner, your friend, and then have a chat about how you can actually match up your love languages and how can you make sure that the way that you love another person actually arrives with them. So that's challenge number 1, love languages. Challenge number 2 is you need to go and do the values exercise on Dr. John DeMartini's website. I'm going to put the link below. This is to find out your list of priorities, because in a relationship, until you are clear what your list of priorities are and your partner's list of priorities, you're just going to continuously approach life from a different perspective. You need to know your value system, your priorities, and Dr. DeMartini is the absolute bomb on this one. And you need to know your partner's values and then link them up and go, okay, how do my values serve you and your values serve mine? The level of connection that you will come out as a result of this exercise is mind-blowing. Number 3, I need you to get the book attached It is definitely a book you need to read. It's not hard to read. It's more like tables and examples. It's the easiest book to read. You need to be able to do the test that will show you how capable, what is your capacity for attachment. Are you anxious or are you avoidant? Trust me, if you're avoidant, you'll probably think that you're secure. You're not. Usually the anxious people are very, very good about saying, yep, it's me, I'm anxious. Also, remember, you'll probably be a bit of one and a little bit of the other. Go to page 39 in the attached book, do the attachment of your own style, and then page 51 in the attached book is all about how can you check what the attachment style is of the other person. Because generally what happens is anxiously attached people will attract avoidance, and avoidance will attract anxiously connected people. And if you do not know what the other one looks like, you will be baffled by, why is this person doing that? And why is that person doing that? So I'm anxiously attached. So most people always think straight up that I'm too full on, and I am much, much better than I used to be. But I generally attract avoidance, which is people that need to pull away, people that need to be distanced from me. So I'm also going to show a little clip in the comments below. There's a little clip about where they talk about anxious and avoidant in terms of the cloud, the hailstorm, and what was the other one? The turtle, I think. The turtle is kind of always pulling back inwards, that's the avoidant, and the cloud and the hailstorm is this intense thing, it's the anxious. So the cloud and the hailstorm is, the hailstorm and the turtle, sorry, is a brilliant visual way of understanding anxious and avoidant. So my challenge is, look up your love language on Google, just Google love languages 2. Find out your values and link it up with your partner. That's on the DeMartini website. And 3, get your hands on the attached book or find an attachment theory test. I think they're on the internet for about £40. You can take an attachment test. You must know if you are avoidant or anxious, because guess what? If you're anxious, you will attract avoidance. And if you're avoidant, you will attract anxious, and you will just forever think that, hey, there's something wrong with other people. That's generally the avoidance. Think why are there no good people around? And as an anxious person, you will always think, oh God, what's so wrong with me? And when you really understand where you are on that spectrum, so it's not who's right and who's wrong, on that spectrum of attachment capacity, it will just absolutely blow you away and explain every single relationship in the past. All right, that is me. We have done it. The lie, there are lies out there. Remember what we started with, the lie, that there's the one. And if it's going wrong, it's wrong. No, it's not wrong. It just means you're finally sorting out the real tough stuff. I'm going to, in the comments below, also really give a couple of links to people I think are doing amazing work, like a colleague of mine. His name is Jason Gaddis. He just has powerful couple work. Then there's a chap on Facebook called Brian Reeves. He does amazing stuff about the empowered masculine and divine feminine. It's just, there are just so many people doing such amazing work out there, and it's all on the internet. There's so much on the internet, but here's the deal, you know, it's like, if you want relationships to really work in your life, you have got to lean in. You know, you really have to lean in and get education and understand the grid, you know, the grid, the layout, because unless you know what to look for, this is like when I started an entrepreneurial business, it's like I didn't know what I didn't know. So I was digging in this corner and digging in that corner, but nobody ever sat me down and gave like the really big overview. And that's what I've given to you tonight, is you will now be able to take little pieces of them and start the journey of your own, or kind of come on the journey with me onto workshops and courses that I do and go from overview to intermediate to detail. Because the last thing I want to give you is relationship is always about first doing your own work. This whole idea that them out there are the problem, oh my God, it's going to keep you lonely and disconnected and miserable your whole life. If you are dating at the moment, please, I beg you, just draw back, lean back, and come home to yourself first before you just go into the same merry-go-round over and over and over again. I'm not saying forever, but, just breathe. There's an amazing lady, Sally Glover. She wrote a book about finding Mr. Right, I think in 90 days. And it's all about come home to yourself first. Really understand who you are, what kind of patterns that you're in, what you need to watch out for, what is just part of who you are. I know that I'm anxiously attached. I know what that looks like. I know what type of person I need to look for, what type of obstacles I'm going to run into. Once you really have an understanding of who you are and how you really need to interact and where are your strengths and where are your weaknesses, this whole thing will make so very much sense. I cannot begin to tell you. All right. So I'm just going to have a look again if there's any questions from you. Have you enjoyed this so far? Give me some hearts, some loving. All right. Thank you so much for being on the call with me. I'm going to post this I'm going to first do it in a much, much nicer way, and then I'm going to post it in the comments below. And remember that our Sunday night self-care session is in primary line for you to be grateful for what happened during the week, set inspired intentions about the new week, and turn those into actions that bring you closer to the inspired destiny and self-care habits. So I would love for you to share with me in the comments what inspired action you're going to take this week and what self-care habit you're going to take as well. So action is a one-off, habit is something like drinking water, exercising. An action is like booking something, solving something, organizing something to get off your list, basically. And the self-care habit is about something you're going to commit to 7 days a week. So thank you so much for being here with me. I've thoroughly enjoyed bringing this overview of the truth of love, relationships and soulmates to you. And I look forward to seeing you next week, Sunday, where I go into how you can actually make sure that you are hearing the message being the blessing, the lesson, and the gift that relationships are trying to give to you, because every single relationship is like a stepping stone to where you want to be, and every single relationship is trying to bring to you learning, growth, and experience to get you higher up towards your highest potential of who you are. So love yourself, because that's the most amazing love relationship you're ever going to have. And I'll see you next week. Bye.